I mean,
you
that's
know.
fine. Yeah, whatever.
So, but yeah, dude, as far as like topics and stuff, I was writing a lot of stuff down last night.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
I mean, everything from like history to like
Okay.
not only American politics, but like just what's going on with the world.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You'll have to
To
fill me in because I kind of, oh, I think I kind of gave up on politics after a while because and now I'm talking about mainstream politics. I
yeah,
was
yeah,
into it
yeah.
for, I had a little bit of a kick, like probably when Obama was running, I got all into it
Oh
in
yeah, you and me,
2008.
man. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. We both got into it. And,
Yeah, I thought he was going to be something different, man.
well, yeah, we both fell for it. We
You
thought,
know,
oh my God, change, and he's a younger kind of one, a more in that area, a younger type guy,
it,
younger president.
right? And he seemed more hip.
Yes, I
you
know
know,
that's lame. You can't base
yeah,
people on that,
right.
but
And
exactly,
it wasn't even really about the race to me.
I
I
don't
just was
care.
like, whoever whatever your
Yeah,
color your skin is, I'm just
yeah,
about how you present yourself and the
exactly.
politics you have. And that was what I cared about. I mean,
Hmm.
everybody was just
It,
the
yeah,
marketing basically for him was
it
just like,
it was yes, exactly, and right off the bat, well, I fell for it. And the Iraq War, bring
yeah,
our troops home. Well, that never happened.
yeah.
Um,
And
and
giving credit to Trump, I mean, he eventually put the groundwork down at least to get that
yeah,
done.
he did. And then Joe Biden did it, right?
Yeah, he
And it
did
was
it.
a disaster.
Oh, it was really bad. I mean,
Hmm.
literally,
You got your White Claw, right?
yep.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking about
Sometimes
the
I drink
Cardi
you.
mix here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes I have like the Mike's Hard.
Hmm. Lemonade.
Yeah, I mean basically it's like you can get this one place is really cheap. It's like a big warehouse style place.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like an
And
what do they call that? Outlet or
yeah,
something like
yeah, I
that.
think that's probably what you kind of call it.
Yeah.
So I mean their prices are great compared to
Sure.
everybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've got like this 12 pack of the Mike's Harder.
Yeah, I've
They're
heard that.
called.
Yeah.
They're like 8%, and
What's the
it's so
normal
what?
alcohol wise? Like, what's the
Oh, if
content?
you got the just Mike's Hard, it would be 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to get the bang for your buck. You want to make sure you get every,
Well,
extra drop.
well, sure. And you know me a lot. I mean, at this point now in my life right now, I usually avoid harder liquor. I just stick with,
Yeah, I think that's good for you.
yeah, because I sip, I sip. So if I'm sipping too
Yeah.
consistently with harder liquor, well, that's gonna, I'm gonna be lights out pretty soon. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I know. Yes.
So
Um,
I think once I get into the sipping, it was just something I know, oral fixation, whatever you want to say.
absolutely. I have an oral fixation too, dude. I mean,
it,
no,
yeah,
that didn't make sense.
but no, you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
just like once you start sipping it, there's something to the routine of it almost in that moment, in that time frame.
Oh, it becomes comfortable almost. It becomes, a
Yeah, with
routine.
cigarettes, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
I remember, and I totally relate to this, where it became not only about like that, but it became about, the glass you use, the ice like the whole thing.
you mean with the harder liquors
Yeah,
or
when you used to drink the harder liquor. Yeah, you told me that it became the whole experience where you liked a certain type of glass, you like
yeah.
the whole thing,
Yeah,
which it
it's something
sounds
else.
silly if unless you know what it
Yeah.
means, but I
Yeah.
know exactly what you mean. You grow attached to not only the substance but the actual routine and what it revolves around and all
Right.
the little accessories to it and stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's
So.
interesting. So I was gonna one idea I had kind of related to like the embarrassing stories or even like
Oh yeah,
crazy family stories or
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that was, do I've told you about this before, at least one of them. I think this is really the one that really just comes to the top of my head, but the idea of recurring dreams.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dreams that keep coming up through your life, even if you still don't dream them now, but you had a period
Yes.
where you kept having the same damn dream.
Yeah, that is weird.
And it's like, why am I dreaming this all the time?
Yeah, what is happening? Like, why something in your subconscious? I mean, they've kind of debunked that dreams mean anything, really. I mean, that was the old like psychology,
Yeah,
as far as I know.
yeah, I've heard things going back and forth. Like Sigmund Freud, of course, is the
Yes, was
big
a
one, right?
big believer in
You
that.
know, it
Yeah.
was all about the penis, right? Like
Yes, yeah, yeah.
everything was a penis. Like
Yes, exactly.
there was a movie with Michael Fassbender and Keira Knightley that came out like 10 years ago. It was actually
Okay.
directed by what's his name, who did The Fly
Oh,
and Dead
David
Ringers.
Cronenberg.
Yeah, yeah. And it was a historical drama about Sigmund Freud. I'm sorry, not well. Sigmund Freud was in it, but
Oh, I know the movie. Yeah,
uh, Dangerous Method, I think it
yeah,
was what it
something.
was
Like,
called.
yeah, I never saw it, but I heard it's not. It's kind of a weaker film for Cronenberg.
It is, yeah, it's not that strong, but there are some interesting moments. But some of it, I think that it reinforces that Sigmund Freud was just totally, out of his mind because he was obsessed about everything just revolved around the penis, or as
Yeah,
he would say, the phallus or whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A
And
lot
if
of.
it's a log, it's a phallus.
Oh my god.
If it's a candlestick, it's a phallus. You know what I mean?
Did he ever do anything to represent the female body parts, or it was all
I
revolved around the cock?
I really can't speak to that. I'd have
I
to
know.
do
I'm just
more
joking. Yeah.
research, but I do think there's been some back and forth actually that some of the things he also was he was big on the what do you call it, the Oedipus complex.
What is that? You got to refresh my memory on that.
You want to kill you. Well, remember the song "The End" by the Doors?
Yeah. Uh huh.
Father, yes, son, I want to kill you. Mother, I want to, you know.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know that. That. Yeah. I didn't know the name of it, but I did have a invite to psychology class in high school, and they did. We had a whole thing on him, and yeah,
On Freud, yeah.
yes, and she went through that whole thing where
I think I
it's
remember her. Was she pretty? She was like pretty short and small,
short and
right?
short hair.
Short hair, yes,
Yes,
yes, I
and
remember her.
yeah, I think you
Yes,
do. Yeah, so I took that class, and we all were like, "This guy sounds fucked up." I mean, I don't know,
yeah,
but she was kind of defending him and being like, "Well, he did create a lot of what we still use today," and we all were like, and then it was like, "Well, he was also a severe cocaine addict," and we're
right.
like, "He just sounds kind of fucked up to us." I don't know,
Yeah,
but she was like, well, a lot of the stuff he created is what we still use today, and
well,
blah blah
and
blah.
you could say she was just trying to be,
Mhm.
in a way, a lot of this stuff. You're going to focus on the things that are outrageous,
Yes,
but there are details where I'd be inclined to maybe agree with some of the stuff she'd say, just because
yeah.
you got to take the whole breadth of the guy's work.
Well, sure. That's the.
You know,
I mean, that's true. I think partly it was just kind of joking around, but we were
yeah.
like, I think he's just like a coke addict and fucked up.
So, but yeah, that movie with Michael Fassbender played, um, oh my god, the other guy. He was kind of the next generation after Freud. I can't remember I mean, Carl Jung, that's his name. Carl Jung with
Okay.
it's a Jung, I think is
Okay.
what it is for Jung. And it does play into like Carl Jung's like trying to ask questions like, well, does it always basically have to be about the penis?
Oh, you mean like, yeah, you're saying he represents the
Next,
the next generation of psychiatry.
right, the next movement in that.
Yes.
And a lot of people really say that Carl Jung is he seems to be more friendly with the modern take on
Okay.
psychology,
Okay.
whereas Freud, a lot of people did start to have this feeling that he was outdated, or he was just off his rocker, whatever you want to say. But
Yes.
apparently, I have listened to people who say, well, there's some stuff there that you can still take from it, that,
Yeah.
just don't discredit them because of the outrageous parts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So anyway, with reoccurring dreams, you know, um, I mean, did you want to, do you have
You
any?
know, I was trying to really rack my brain on reoccurring dreams. I don't think I
Yeah,
ever really had any.
I have
Um,
two I can
okay.
think of.
Okay.
If, I can just tell you, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, because it is really interesting. It there could be something that's, about external forces when you're awake and conscious, that your brain, they say dreams are the processing of the brain while you're
Yes.
asleep, and
Yeah, it's cataloging the day's events, or they
right,
say, but in like, kind of a distorted kind of way.
right. So the one I remember right away, my earliest memories go back to probably when I was about 3 years old. Actually, I do remember that far back. I'm sure there's other people too, but sometimes,
Wait, I'm sorry. How old were you?
I was three,
Three, really?
maybe four,
Okay.
maybe four. I was living. My father was working in North Carolina as an associate for the owner of a chiropractic office,
Okay.
and the dream I would have, my bedroom was in the same room as my younger brother, who was still very young. So he was in like what do you call it? Not a
A
cradle, but
crib.
a crib, a crib.
Yeah, crib.
Yeah, but it was at the end of the hall, and the distance, of course, for me at 3 or 4, it probably looked like a huge cathedral to get to the end. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Of the
Like a
hallway.
yeah, like a huge journey.
Right. So the dream was always that I wake up and I see these hands and arms moving around the moonlit walls of my room, and I freak out and I run out the door, take a left out of the room, and start running down the hallway. And in my peripheral vision, the hands start coming more and more in front of me, outpacing me down the hallway to
Okay.
like grab me
Okay.
on the walls.
Okay.
And my dad is sitting in a chair facing away from me. And I'm trying to call out to him and asking him to help me. And then they take me off my feet, the arms do, the hands, and start dragging me back down the hallway.
That's weird. Okay. So
Yeah.
these
So,
these shadow hands, these essentially it's not really a person, but it's the shadow hands that are grabbing you and you're trying to get away essentially and they're pulling you back.
yeah. And my dad, again, whatever that could
Weird.
mean, he
He has
doesn't
his
hear
back to
me.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And he has his back to me. I will say real quick, some of this I think I know this is kind of specific,
Uh-huh.
but I did watch that Little Nemo movie a lot.
Okay.
It's
You mean
based on a
Finding Nemo?
no, not the
Oh.
fish stuff. No, it was a comic strip from like the 1910s, I
Whoa.
think.
Okay.
And finally they made a movie adaptation in the 80s.
Okay.
And it went through like development hell for years. George
Sure.
Lucas was attached
Oh,
for a
really?
while. Hayao Miyazaki from the Studio Ghibli, like Totoro stuff, anime
Okay.
was attached for a while.
Okay.
And they just couldn't get off the ground. The script was just crap, I guess. Like the
Okay.
directors were just not happy with it.
This is based on a comic strip.
From back in the 1910s, and
Well, it
Nemo.
seems like a hard movie. I mean, to make a movie out of it.
Well,
But
there was strong imagery though. I think they were going off a lot of
okay.
strong
But you're
imagery.
not talking about like a little comic strip. You mean like a full story, right?
Well, it kind of it's not like the funnies. It's more.
That's what
I,
we'll see.
I
That's what I was thinking, like a funny strip, which is like what, 8 panels at the most, 10 panels.
right. I mean, some of it was like that. I'd have to look it back up, but that's what it
Mm,
was based on.
okay.
And it's almost like it's not that he has narcolepsy, but he has just very vivid dreams. He falls asleep and he goes to a different place.
Okay.
And there's real consequences
Okay.
to himself in that place.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other dream is one, I know there's a controversial figure for a lot of people, whatever you think of the guy, but it was actually really bizarre how he described it.
Mm-hmm.
This dream he would have. And he said around the same period in his life that it happened to me. And it was a sphere,
Mm-hmm.
a sphere in the darkness, almost like space.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't comprehend the size, and it would freak me out. It was almost like it was a dream, but
Wait,
it
wait,
was,
is this your dream?
yeah. I mean, literally, what the guy I'm going to say talked about it too. I mean, the way he described it is the way I basically experienced it too.
Okay.
And it's Alex Jones on Joe
Oh
Rogan.
boy. Okay. Well, that's all right. He's got
Yeah,
some, things.
no, I mean, I'm open minded. I know there's a lot of stuff around him. I mean, that's not the focus anyway.
I understood. Yeah.
So,
Understood.
but it was just weird how he described it in the time period in his life, the age he was when he had the dream, to
Yeah.
basically kind of like when I had the dream in my life. And it was of this sphere that just you couldn't comprehend. Like you're
Yeah.
looking at it, and from your point of view in the dream, you're looking at it, you can't figure out how big it is.
Yeah.
And in my experience, I literally sometimes would wake up almost like crying or like freaking out, like having a panic attack.
After the dream.
Yeah, yeah, it would freak
Okay.
me out enough that I'd wake up out of it.
Okay.
Or like I'd lay there and I just would be like not shaking necessarily, but just like, whoa, what was that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going
Freaky.
on? What was that? Like it was just weird. But again, it's like just, in the moment, it's like this just weird, almost like a
It's an
upset.
endless. It's an
Yeah,
endless shape that has no ending.
right. You can't figure it out. And I guess for me, a lot of people like to quantify things. They want to know
Yeah.
how big things are,
Yeah. Where it
what they look
begins, where
like.
it ends,
Right,
where it,
right.
everything.
And I think a lot of that too was uh I always had a problem with time. Time,
Yeah.
how much time do we have? How little time do we have? How much
Yeah.
more fun can we have? And then, in some religions, of course, if there's an afterlife, eternity, and what is that? And like, oh
Yeah.
my
What does
God,
that mean? Yeah.
yeah, what are we going to do for eternity? I mean,
Yeah.
I get bored doing things,
I know.
who knows? So
I
that
know.
freaked me out. So,
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I remember you saying you have a hard time with time, and you had that ever since you were a kid.
yeah.
Um, yeah, always wanting to know when people were going to leave and not, and were they going to stay later or longer?
Exactly. And she'd say,
Uh,
it's not because he wants you to
mhm.
leave.
Your mom,
Yeah,
right,
that's
would
what she'd
defend
say.
you. Yeah, because it sounds like, well, you gonna get the fuck out of here or
Yeah,
not?
right. No,
But
that's
you were freaking out about the time you still had. Yeah, you said that caused you great anxiety. I remember you telling me about that dream.
yeah,
That it was just, you couldn't identify where it started, where it began, where anything, and it freaked you out.
yeah, yeah.
So
It was just interesting. Again, not only what the dream was about, but that it happened over and over.
yeah, that's
You
weird.
know,
Yeah, so that was another recurring one. Yeah, so
for a time, you know what I mean. And
mhm,
that's the thing. It
then it
happened at
goes
a certain
away.
point in my life. Right,
Yes,
right. So, um,
I've certainly had some weird dreams, but never recurring. The only recurring dream I think of, which is not really a dream, this is going to be extremely hard to explain.
okay,
Where it's not even almost a dream. as a kid. It happened to me not all the time, but every once in a while at school and stuff. It would be almost this weird daydream where consume it would consume me, and I'd usually have to sit down and recover for about 10 to 15 to 20 minutes.
Huh.
And it was very weird. It was no visuals, it was nothing. It was this very strange feeling. I felt like really kind of foggy and my vision was blurry. And but while I was like that, I'd have these flashes of like memories and visuals and stuff. Um, it was very strange, and it happened at school several times. The last time it happened was years ago, but it's when I had a cold and I was working with my dad, plumbing and stuff, and we were working in this like abandoned warehouse essentially, and I had it, and I just had to sit and not think. I had to just let it happen, and then it would go away.
Did your dad know what was going on?
I
Did he
had to
explain?
tell him, I go, Dad, I don't know how to explain this to you. This is so weird. It's happened to me, a kid. And it was the first time it had happened in years. So there was also now this strange, like deja vu and this weird, like, oh my God, it's back again. And I haven't experienced it in so long. Yeah, it's like these daydream, it's almost like sleepwalking kind of visuals, and you're dreaming but you're awake. It's very hard to explain, and that thing, it always freaked me out. So
Yeah,
I
that's
don't,
really
yeah,
that's
I don't even know how to explain it. The visuals are familiar, I just don't even remember what they are, but they're the visuals, and the feeling I got is all familiar. It hits you and you go, oh, it's that feeling again. And then it would overcome you. It starts very small and then it overcomes you. And then you go, I just have to sit down and just look at and space out for, 5 or 10 minutes. And
well,
then it goes,
I was
yeah.
gonna say, is it almost like you're becoming lightheaded, or is it just like a sensory overload and you're just like, I
Yeah,
need to
I would say it's
sit in
more,
one place and take it in?
yeah, it's more of a sensory overload. And I wish I could remember some of the visuals. It's like a sensory overload, exactly, because besides an overload of like imagery and visuals and stuff like that, I also got like thoughts, these weird, deep, crazy kind of thoughts that went everywhere and anywhere, all different subjects, all different things. um and I wish I could remember exactly what they were, but it's very strange.
And these, were they a distortion of what you were looking at already, or literally were you almost like you were taking in new imagery that only you could see?
New imagery. And I don't believe in reincarnation or any of that stuff. It almost felt like I was re-experiencing a past life or something. You know what I mean? And it came in as a flood very quickly,
Mhm.
10, 20 minutes, and then it evaporated, or some
That
other dimension. I mean, I don't believe in this, but I don't know how to
that is
explain that.
really that yeah, it is really interesting because again, it's like it's almost like, not to be over the top about it, but like visions, like waking
Yes. You
visions.
know what? I couldn't think of the word. And yeah, it's like these visions, and then it gets too much. Like a lot of it was when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
remember one in particular where I was in school and we were transitioning either from, I think, gym to recess or something. I was very young.
How
And
young you think?
geez, I don't know, probably second grade, maybe third grade even.
Oh, okay.
And that's where it started to come on, and I go, oh my God, I know the feeling now, and I don't know how to explain it. And I remember at recess I had to walk up to these steps, and all these like visions and images, and again, all these thoughts were flooding my head, and you just have to sit and just kind of let it go and let it run its course and just kind of deal with it. And I
Yeah,
remember,
that's
yeah, it's
yeah.
very strange. And I remember when it happened with my dad, which I was much younger. I mean, much older. I was in my, late, mid to late 20s, not
Right,
late 20s,
right.
probably
And it
mid
hadn't
20s.
happened for a while,
It
is
hadn't
what you're saying.
happened in years.
Yeah, that is
And
weird.
And I Googled it actually because I'm like, is this a phenomena like I'm just not aware of? Or and I can't remember. I found it was so hard to, first of all, research because you had to be so vague. It's like
Well, yeah,
you
I
just
mean,
explain the symptoms, what happens to you, all that stuff. And it's so vague and so all over the place. I did find one thing, I think it was on Reddit, of a guy explaining almost to a T what I felt. And that was the last I ever heard of it. I don't even remember what it was or
on
what they,
Reddit.
yes.
Okay.
But
You
anyway,
can't
that
remember what the term was or
I
anything.
can't, yeah, I can't even remember exactly how he worded it, but I'm like, okay, it's not 100%, but it's like 80, 90, it's close to kind of what I felt. So,
Man.
but yeah,
Huh.
reoccurring dreams, no. The last dream I had that was very disturbing, well, not disturbing, was just very weird, was I was kind of forced to go, not forced to, but I went to this place and it's going to sound funny. Anybody who knows, well, Troll 2, where they go to
Yes.
Nilbog. It
Yep.
reminded me a little bit of that, like this really strange small town, but it was like a cabin and a lake. And it was like I was forced to be there around like weird people. And I think there was like one other person I kind of was friendly with and felt comfortable with, but everybody else was really crazy, like the town and stuff. And the dream ended where I actually, for some unknown reason, I said, I'm going to jump into this green lake. It was all green and like algae and stuff,
Oh yeah.
and jump into it. And I'm like, what am I, in my head as I'm dreaming? I'm go, what am I thinking? Why am I doing this? But I couldn't help myself. So I jump in, and instead of falling into water, I fall into almost like this a green blanket that hovers just above the water. So I don't get wet, and I just kind of float into this blanket with the same color of the water. I should have been soaked or should have went sunk to the bottom.
Right.
And instead, I just kind of floated on this blanket, and I'm floating, all over it. And I go, this doesn't make any sense. I should be soaked. I should be, falling to the bottom of this lake unless I'm swimming or whatever it was.
Kind of reminds me of the raft.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great example. That's kind of what it was. Exact. Well, anybody who doesn't know, the raft was a story in the Creep Show 2 movie, right? That's
Yes.
the one you're thinking of.
It was probably the only story that I thought had some potential
Oh
because
my
it
god,
is
it's
like
the
a
only story that even has half. Even it's the only story that's decent.
yeah, because it is a very interesting. The
Yes,
idea that you're stuck on this raft and the
it
things
was
trying
my.
to like
It
get
was
to you,
yeah. It was always my favorite.
not the can
Thanks
I
for
get
the
a ride,
ride, lady,
lady?
baby. Yeah, thanks for the ride,
I
lady.
think for the yeah okay,
Oh, so
but
lame.
but anyway yeah. So it's like almost like you're jumping into a waterproof
Similar, yes, but
blanket
the idea
that's
is the
floating.
whole
Yeah,
lake is a blanket,
yeah,
and I keep going. Wait, why? There was so much confusion because I expected to jump in and either float to the bottom or get really wet and then swim. But instead, I stayed like this floating state or, position. And then as I was doing that, I remember the blanket, or not blanket, but the thing I was on started to like kind of bunch up against like the sides of like, what do you call that, the dock or whatever, whatever kind of thing it was. And that was the last dream I had that was really strange.
hmm.
But no reoccurring. I think I did have one reoccurring dream and I can't remember it to save my life, so that's all I got.
Well, that is interesting though, but also those episodes are interesting. I would just say real quick,
Yeah.
I did have episodes sometimes where it wasn't like yours, but they were episodes where I did sort of have to collect myself a little bit, not like
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
not like what you experienced, but it would almost be like this wave would come over me of
Yeah.
like anger and frustration.
Okay.
And This is when I was probably 7, 8, 9 years old. Actually, around the time my Max was born, my second, there's me, Zach, and then Max. And around when he was born, we were living uh, up north from where I am now. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just would have these bouts. Like I wouldn't get angry at somebody. I wouldn't, start
Yeah.
cursing or yelling or anything. But it was almost like I had to clench my fist. Like suddenly I just was like, like
Overcome with anger. Yeah.
yeah, anger, frustration, and it wasn't even directed at anything. It was just kind of like this general
It
feeling
overwhelmed
of
you.
like,
Yeah.
of course I wouldn't say this as a kid, but I'd be like, screw this, fuck
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it was just really, yeah, it's just really weird.
So that was just like a huge wave of like anger.
Yeah, like I in frustration, and it
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
No, I get that.